Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Santita Jackson Show here on AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. You know, we're talking about black men in the election today. What else? What else? What else? It's very interesting how black men are suddenly the center of the conversation, but not policy. But let's talk about that on the Santita Jackson Show here on AM 950 Radio, the voice of progressive Minnesota. But first, a little bit of housekeeping. Need you to join me on the Santita Jackson Show YouTube channel. Please go there, like and subscribe. Thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. I need you to be there and like and subscribe to us. And then go to the Santita Jackson and Friends Facebook page. Santita Jackson and Friends Facebook page. And please become my friend there. We are also on X. That's right. The Santita Jackson Show channel. The Santita Jackson Show channel. And we're also on at Santita J. Now, I really kind of like that, quite frankly. So just get on over there and please become my friend there. Become my friend there. So let's talk about black men and the election. We are inside of 3 weeks until the election. It's amazing. It's been such an interesting campaign. The people who we presumed were the nominees, the people who won the primary season, well, that's not with whom we're presented now. Now we've got Vice President Harris, who's had to run the shortest presidential campaign probably in history, or less. But she's done a magnificent job. And yet, this is the tightest race that we have seen, oh my goodness, in years. They say it's a margin of error race. But more and more of these races, Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds, they are squeakers. That's why it's so important that you vote. Community psychologist, Dr. LaShawn Latrice, it's important that people vote. Attorney Darrell Jones, chair of the Transformative Justice Coalition, it's important that you vote. And when you do vote, because early voting is starting now, please call 1-866-OUR-VOTE, 1-866-OUR-VOTE. And if you have a problem at the polls, do not leave. Do not leave and come back. No. Stay right there. Call 1-866-OUR-VOTE and stay there until your problem has been alleviated. Do not take that provisional ballot. Make sure that you can step in a booth and vote. It's very, very important. Provisional ballots far too often are thrown out, and your vote really does matter. So everybody, please, everybody who's looking, who's watching, please thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. This is pretty much going to be our regular time. Okay, I had to get back to it, and I'm so glad to be with you today. Hey, Mike Smith, how you doing? And so let us talk today. And of course, on October 21st, a week from today, well, a week from yesterday, by the time you hear this, but everybody who's watching us live, and Monday, a week from Monday, on October 21st, Greg Palast will be in Chicago. Well, he comes to Chicago and he's going to be here until he heads to Georgia and I guess meets up with you, Darrell Jones and the Transformative Justice Coalition. But he's going to have a special showing, Dr. LaShawn Latrice, of his Vigilantes Inc. film. So please put that down and tell people about it. Vigilantes Inc., October 21st at 6 p.m. We'll have a few little sneaky snacks, but we need you to come. We need you to come. And because after we have the film, after we show it, we're going to have a discussion about the vote, about the importance of the vote, about the ways in which our votes are being suppressed. I promise you, when you see the movie, and I've seen it more than once, and so many people I know have seen it more than once, you will be inspired. You'll be fired up about your vote. You will see how average, everyday people who walk amongst us, Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds, how they challenge your vote. I mean, your vote can be challenged on the day of the election. What does that happen? That means you're removed from the rolls. It means your vote doesn't count. And you need to know this. Some people are planning. Dr. King said, evil men plot, therefore good men must plan. This is not a conspiracy theory. Stop it. Stop using that term. That came from the intelligence community when they wanted to shut down the debate about who killed JFK. And as more and more people really understand the inner workings of power, you're called a conspiracy theorist. When we know what you do, you have enough people who've been in the Army, the Navy, the Air Force, Marines. They see how things really work, and they come back really energized, Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds, because they will tell you, oh, you have no idea. You have no idea how things work. That's what happens when you have a society in which everybody works in it. So, everybody, let's get to this today because now we're seeing Black men um, are being, well, some people shamed and blamed. Blamed if Kamala Harris does not win, shamed into voting for her. And it's something that kind of exploded after President Obama, who's now out on the hustings for Kamala Harris, well, he has been aiming directly at Black men. And he's charged Black men with sexism. Now, sexism is a very real thing. Let us not act as if it is not um, a virus that infects our community as it infects all others. But I tell you what, Democrats' second most loyal voting base behind Black women is Black men. It's not white women. It's not white men. Black men will give women a shot. Indeed, it was a Black man who put women into the top of the political ticket, and that was Reverend Jesse Jackson in 1984. He pledged at the beginning of his campaign, he said, if I get the nomination, he said this when he announced, I will put a woman on the ticket. No man had ever committed to that before, ever. And what shocked everybody was that when he became a top tier candidate, outlasting 6 or 7 other people, Darrell Jones, Attorney Jones, and Dr. LaShawn Latrice, and Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds, guess what? When he outlasted everybody, he held to his promise. That is how Geraldine Ferraro got on the ticket. And white women do not give him the credit. But it was not something that the then nominee, Vice President Mondale, wanted to do. He didn't want to do that. He was pushed into doing that so that he could not put Jesse Jackson on the ticket because Jesse Jackson had registered by that time 3.5 million voters. 2.5 million, and he had 3.5 million people voting for him. No one expected him to completely bust the system. Okay, so that is what you're looking at. So as we look at Black men and press on Black men, let us be very clear. Black men support Kamala Harris. Do they support her to the extent that they supported Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden, who they were just trying to get Trump out of office? No, they don't. So that's something that the Harris campaign has to work out. The New York Times Siena poll, which measured people from September 29th to October 6th, said that, well, now 15% of Black voters overall support Trump. That's a very high number. And 20% of Black men support Kamala, but 12% of Black women do also. Trump. And 12% of Black women do too. 20% of Black men, 12% of Black women support Donald Trump, according to this New York Times Siena poll. Under 45, that number is 14%. And I don't know about you, Dr. Latrice, but when I talk to young people, young Black people, and young Latino people, they tell me they're supporting Trump and they don't blink. They're very comfortable. They're comfortable because they have company. You're uncomfortable when you don't have company, right? When you think that you are going to be the outlier in the room, you might even lie in the room just to get out of the room. So, over 45, 15% of Blacks support Donald Trump. It's important to get these numbers, everybody. Black voters by education, there really is no difference. 14% Black men, Trump. 15% without college, Trump. So there's something that Black men are seeing. Instead of talking about Black men, I want to talk to Black men. Instead of raining down on Black men, I want to do that. I'm going to stand in defense of our brothers today, Dr. LaShawn Latrice. Because number one, you have the right to vote any way you want to. And you have an obligation to ask every candidate what they plan to do for you. What did Janet Jackson say? What have you done for me lately? What are you planning to do? Before I get who I want, I need to get what I need from you. Because that is politics. Quid pro quo. You give to me. Well, you give to me and I give to you. That's the way it is. But it's very interesting because now people are there is a growing group of Black men who feel that President Obama was talking down to them, and they don't like it. They don't like it. And they are not being shy about not just their disappointment, but they're getting angry about it. So wanted to bring you all, and we're going to be talking with Michael Eric Dyson in the next hour. We're going to talk with State Senator Nina Turner in the next hour about this too, because I want to hear from different people. I want to hear from everybody. Just what are you seeing? What are you hearing? So let me start with you, Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds, because you run for office, and so you have run for office, and you've held office, Darrell Jones. So you all have a different. You've had a different kind of conversation with people, and of course, we're in different parts of the country. Dr. Latrice is in Chicago, so we get another kind of conversation. You are in the DMV, as they call it, the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, which a lot of that is government. You get a different kind of conversation there, and it's affluent. There's a lot of poverty and poor people in that area, but you have a lot of Black folks who do quite well in that area because they get solid government jobs. Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds, more Black people live in Texas than any other state. You're the head of the Black Legislative Caucus. What are you hearing? And what did you think? Let's go back to what President Obama said.
Wow, Santita,
I'm giving you a lot.
yeah, no. Good morning. I'm so excited that we're having this discussion because this is the topic right now. This is where it's at. This is where the energy and the conversations are at. I believe that the Harris camp sent President Obama out because they saw the polls, they saw the numbers, and they start panicking. They said, "Oh my God, we got to do something." So they've been sending out Magic Johnson and other folks. So here's the deal: when I listen to President Obama, who I have such a tremendous amount of respect for, uh, I understood the spirit of which he had the conversation. I think it was in earnest. I think it was sincere. I don't think it was manufactured. I don't think they gave him talking points. I think he talked and believed what he said. I think that the understanding now, and I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna try to be very brief, but I want to tell you what my kind of takeaway was. My takeaway was, you know, y'all, this is a choice between Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, and y'all must be crazy if y'all ain't supporting the Black woman, biracial Black woman, but Black woman over this nutcase. What's wrong with y'all? Let me shake y'all. Y'all gotta y'all gotta be misogynistic or chauvinistic or whatever, because there's no way that you're not supporting this woman over this man who denigrates people and women and everybody. So I understood that's where he was coming from, and basically saying, you know, it must be something wrong with y'all, or you must have some ulterior motive if you're not supporting her over him. Um, and I can tell you this: I even before President, Obama had this conversation, I've had many conversations with Black men, and some of them, most of them, are supporting Kamala Harris. Some of them are not, and they are not supporting her because they're chauvinistic or they're misogynistic or they're anti-woman. They have their own reasons why they're not supporting her. Some of them, they're not supporting Trump either. They're not supporting either one of them. They're supporting third party. And I've had conversations with them, and they have their own reasons of why they're doing that. Some of it has to do with, her stance on the war. They believe that she is not willing to break away from the Biden administration of not calling for a ceasefire, and they don't think that they can support her in good conscience. Then I've had some other candid conversations with some of these Black men, and they say, "Oh, she's Black when she wants my support," but then they point out, well, she's married to a white man. We've never heard her really talk about Black issues. So they are of the opinion that she is only black when it's convenient for her. And they don't believe that she is authentic when it comes to caring about black issues. Now, I push back on them, but that's their honest opinion. They're not chauvinistic. They have a fundamental reason why aren't just falling in line. So I say all this to say, I don't knock these black men because they have chosen to support someone else. I disagree with them,
Mhm.
but I'm glad you pointed out, Santita, that behind black women, black men are the most reliable, solid vote statistically, percentage wise, for Kamala Harris. Period.
But for
Right,
the Democratic Party,
for the
sure.
Democratic Party, and many of the black men that I've talked to have are sick and tired of being taken for granted, right? They court these other folks. They do everything they do to wine and dine them. Then we're an afterthought. They want us to, oh, y'all just gonna vote for us anyway. We don't have to court y'all. We don't have to take y'all to dinner. You're gonna give me the goods anyway, just because you this is what we do. So I don't like that, Santita. I've been one of the ones that's made noise. Y'all can't take us for granted because here in Texas, before I start speaking out, all the GOTV money will go to white folks. All the other GOTV money will go to courting Hispanics who always underperform, who always let them down. Now, it looks good because they have these great numbers. But then, time and time again, when you see the election results, it was black people that showed up. And I tell them, I said, imagine if you would invest in black GOTV operations. We could do so much more. But now y'all want to give us crumbs and like y'all take that and be happy. Don't stop complaining. Stop playing the race card. Stop playing the victim. No, we're just speaking truth to power. They don't want you to. They want you to vote for them with blind loyalty, and sit down and shut up. So I understand some of these genuine concerns, and I'm not mad at my brothers. I just had a deal last week with the 100 Black Men. And we brought Wes Bellamy down here. I'm a part of the 100 Black Men of Houston. And we had a session called Real Men Vote. And many of the discussion that we had with these brothers was, hey, we'll likely vote for her. Some of them said we'll hold our nose, and then others they said, what are they doing specifically for us? Now, they're not voting for Trump. None of them said they were voting for Trump, but it's the undervotes that are going to hurt Kamala Harris if these brothers don't vote for her, or they skip it, or they vote third party. So I'm doing everything I can to help her, but she has to help herself by leaning into it and not just saying, "Hey, you better vote for me because you black." That argument ain't gonna work. So I don't think overall that President Obama was successful, because finally when people sent me a lot of the TikTok reels, you're right, it sent off a firestorm with quite a few brothers that really resonated with folks who sent it to me and said, "See, this is how I feel too." And they were going off about Obama and how he let them down when he was president and the stuff he didn't do. And they said that they feel like now he's trying to, how dare he tries to tell them what they should be doing and shaming them because they're not falling in line. So again, many of these brothers, most of them are voting for her, but she would have a higher percentage if she was fundamentally leaning into the issues that many of the black men care about. She's not talking about, black economic agenda. She's not talking about some of the issues of inequality when it comes to many of the disparities within the criminal justice system. There are so many issues that I think she could talk about, but I think her handlers are telling her to stay away from certain things. I think they're trying to control her. Just talk about the border. Just talk about the economy. Just talk about abortion. Most of the black men I talk to, they don't give a rat's ass about abortion. They're not. That's not their issue at all. It never comes up in the conversation when I'm talking to these black men. Black women is different, but brothers, I've never had Daryl, maybe you're different. I've never had a conversation and they led off with abortion. It didn't even come out of their mouth. And I've talked to so many brothers within my own fraternity, within the 100 black men, other groups I'm in, Black Caucus. They're not talking about abortion. So they want to talk about other issues. And I think that's where she needs to listen. And she has a little time to correct it. And you said it right, Santita, with the margins, if she doesn't correct this, then there is a chance that she won't win. And I'm doing everything I can to help her win.
Well, let me ask you this. Was it the message or the messenger? I mean, because the thing is, several things that you mentioned, the GOTV monies and, what the vending, because politics is a business. That was something that we learned, Dr. LaShawn Latrice and Daryl Jones, when Reverend ran for president. And we did not know these things because we'd never gotten that close. We didn't understand how the party worked, really. We just voted for it. So the first real dance we had with power was during his presidential runs. And so Reverend found himself doing many things at one time. While he's running for president, he's also pushing the networks to put Black reporters on a presidential beat, because that had not happened before Daryl Jones and Dr. Latrice. He was pushing the party to give Black people, Black businesses contracts, because that had not happened before. While many of us were on the board of the party, we could not get any business from the party, which is $1 billion business now. Then it was hundreds of millions of dollars. We got no money. No money. If you got on the DNC, if you got on the national committee, that was a big thing. But they didn't have the power to advocate for us to get any of the business from the party. I know people who've become millionaires, multimillionaires, selling the tchotchkes, key rings, and T-shirts. That's a big business, everybody. Now, since Reverend has been out of that space, and Barack has been in the space, he didn't advocate for that. In fact, that was shut down on his watch. That's been a problem. And, you have to be very careful about the messaging, Daryl Jones, because Black folks are real sensitive about how you talk to them. They're real sensitive about your dialect, about what they perceive to be your lived experience. My brother, Jesse Jackson Jr., who was a Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr., who is an alum, along with my parents and my brother Jonathan and my sister Jackie of North Carolina A&T, went with Pastor Jamal Bryant during the 2008 campaign to campaign for President Obama. And I just saw Pastor Bryant on a TikTok clip. And wow. He said, we were down at North Carolina A&T, and it was an outstanding memory for Pastor Bryant. He said, and I was with Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr., and we're making the case, talking, and someone stood up in the auditorium, and it was filled, maybe with a few thousand people. And they said, Congressman Jackson, Jesse, you wouldn't be where you are if it weren't for your daddy. And my brother stood there, 1, 2, 3. He said, you know what? We're the only people in the world who have to apologize for having good daddies. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. He said, what does that say? So you got to be real careful. And my brother's particularly brilliant because our parents put us in positions where we had to roll with folks. So you know how to talk to folks. You can't just come to Black folks and say things. You got to be real careful, particularly since he and his wife, it took them a minute to endorse Kamala Harris. They're not first in line. They were in the back of it. So I'm just keeping it 100 because we have 3 weeks. It is a tighter than this race, Attorney Daryl Jones. This race is going to be won at least on paper in the margins. If you listen in these streets, I don't hear that. I hear people who support Trump will not admit to it because it's almost like you're wearing a scarlet letter. Dr. Latrice, am I misreading this?
Not at all.
Folks,
not at all.
Folks, I mean, that's what I'm hearing out here with people. And I live with people, Attorney Daryl Jones. I'm concerned though because a lot of pastors had to deal with this yesterday, Black pastors, because a lot of folks a lot of Black men are feeling a lot of kind of ways about
Well,
this.
and Santita, good morning, everybody. Santita, uh, I look at it from a different lens a little bit. I certainly agree with the tone and all that former President Obama presented it with, that it could be offensive. Of course, it wasn't offensive to me because I already know where I stand. But I can appreciate the offensiveness that people are taking to it. But I look at it through a little different lens, and I tell you why. I look at it through an opportunity lens, a political opportunity lens, because what President Obama has done is that he has now centered Black men in this election cycle. He has centered the discussion around Black men, such that Black men now are having the discussions that you're talking about. They're opening up to the pastor, saying, this is the issue, and this is the problem that we have with this. What does that do? It doesn't just present an issue, but it presents an opportunity for Vice President Harris to step into it and to say, this is how I'm addressing this. This is how I'm addressing the issue. This is what we're going to do. This is what needs to be done. This is what I can do to assist those Black men that feel some type of way about my candidacy and that they're on the margins, that they haven't been included, that I'm not including them in the policy decisions. And I can now focus on that and bring that conversation forward. I think that's what President Obama has done by opening this. So, and having all this discussion that's going on, I see it as healthy rather than unhealthy. I see it as an opportunity for Vice President Harris, as well as for Black men that feel marginalized from the campaign or forgotten by the party, to be able to now say, okay, they're speaking directly to me. These are my issues. These are my concerns. What else does it do? The other thing that it does, it begins to steal some of the staging from former President Trump to force everyone to focus on this issue. Vice President Harris said that she wanted to earn the vote of Black men. Well, she's now got the stage to do it. Former President Obama has given her the stage to. He's opened up the conversation. Here it is. So when you see it all over social media, when you hear about, the what do they call it, the leaking or whatever of the black male vote away from her, this is the stage now. This is the opportunity now. And and I apologize, I cannot remember the political analyst that you had on Friday. I can't remember his name. James Ogby, Dr. Ogby.
Oh, Jim Zogby, Dr. James Zogby, one of the most prominent Arab American. Well, there's been no one more influential in the Arab American community, really, in our modern political history than Dr. James Ogby, the founder of the Arab American Institute, who was also one of the heads of the Jackson campaigns. Both
right.
of them.
And one of the things that Dr. Osby said on your show the last time was, there's still time for her to do it because of social media. She can get the issue out to the public, to Black men, and to everyone, where her positions are, what she's going to do, how she's going to address the issue, and she will control the stage on that issue. It's a tremendous opportunity that's presented. The question is, will her handlers and her policymakers allow her to do it? That's how I see it, Cynthia.
Well, my question, though, with you, Daryl, is that people are not looking at that. They're looking at Obama.
Mm-hmm.
He's the center of the conversation now, not Black men. Black men should be. Black men are still tangential to the conversation. Black men are they're registering anger and disappointment. The headlines are saying there's a backlash about what he said. To me, it wasn't even the message as much as it was the message, but it was also the messenger. So let's talk about that, because we are members of the Divine Nine, not you, Dr. Latrice, but you went to FAMU, HBCUs, which puts us in the talented 10th. Now, the talented 10th to me is not something where I'm supposed to sit up over Black people and lord over us. I have a responsibility. My father said to the five of us, you all are tremendously gifted. You can do this, you can do that, you can do that, you can do this, to each one of us. He said, now, these gifts are not for you. That's what our mother and father would tell us. These gifts are for the people, because our parents raised us to be servants. Whatever it is that you do, That you owe it to Black people. I'll give you this, and I want you to respond to this. We got piled up in the car the night that we introduced our father at the Democratic Convention in 1988. And the car was really for four people, the two lead agents and my parents. Can you imagine seven adults being in the back seat? The agents cracked up. They were like, here the Jacksons go again. But you know, when my father wanted to talk to us, he would make us all get in the little car. And they were like, they said, you Jacksons, boy, y'all are a lot. So because they had, they'd been with us by this time, they'd been with us 2 years, two different campaigns. And we had developed a tremendous affection for each other. They would eat, for the holidays, they would come and eat dinner with us because we were like, you're away from your family too. So we'd have rotations, and no, you're not going to eat in the trailer. You're going to come in the house. We're going to eat dinner. And it's going to be great. We got little gifts for you, little tchotchkes, because this is Jesus' birthday. So we don't give big presents like that. But you're going to get some good food now. And my father said, you all, I don't know if you realize tonight what a tremendous honor it will be for you to introduce Daddy tonight. He said, but this is not for you. He said, your Mama Tippy, our great grandmother, who by that time was moving into dementia, who couldn't read or write. He said, this is for Esther, who was our lead usher. She was about 4'11", and she cleaned toilets in Robbins, Illinois, in a poor Black area. You know it, Latrice, in a poor Black hospital. But she was the lead usher at Push. And honey, you had to run past Esther if you wanted to get to Jesse Jackson. She would take you down. This is for her. This is for these nameless, faceless Black people who have never seen a Black family on this stage before. This is for them. This is not for us. And we might walk away from this night, probably the most prominent Black family in America, if not the world, but it's not for us. This is for somebody like me who didn't have a daddy, who's going to see your mother and I and say, well, you know what? They started at zero. Maybe I can do it. When you see Greg Mathis coming out of jail to judgeship, he connects with the Black community on that. And I'm not saying you have to do it that way, but people need to feel your heart because the other side of that with Pastor Bryant, who comes from a very privileged background also, was by the time Jesse Jr. was finished speaking, he had a standing ovation. Because he had also gone to A&T. He'd lived in the dormitories, eating the crazy dorm food, was sliding down the hall with the fellas, and getting knocked out on the field and knocking people out on the football field because he was on the football team, leading marches. People knew him on the ground. And Daryl, that makes a big difference when you start critiquing and criticizing. And mind you, to fully disclose, I have known Barack Obama more than 40 years. And I love him personally. But I also know some places that he misses because of how he grew up. He did not grow up in the Black community. And, and so there's some things that you have to say, hey, don't say it that way. Or have you considered this? He can't help that. How and where he grew up, but you got to make the switch.
Right.
And it's not just a code switch, it's an understanding, Daryl. And I think we have to be very sensitive because I've heard different people say, you all are campaigning from the Divine Nine in college. That is not where most Black folks are.
That's right.
Daryl, and I hear the amen corn over here before we get to you, Dr. Latrice, because Daryl, because it's not, you're right, it's an opportunity to talk about black men's issues, but that's not where the conversation is going. Now, can we lead it in that direction? Yes. But the conversation is about Obama, what he said, how he said it, and Black men feel like they've been talked down to and they're angry about it.
And I can't step away from that part of dealing with how President Obama presented it. I know from my own experience, right, from being an elected official and running for office, that when you're speaking to people, you speak to people as people. You're not speaking to them as like a parent. right? You're not instructing them on what to do. You're talking to them. You're just having the conversation. And I think that a lot of the concern that's been raised is the manner in which the conversation was presented, which is what I think that you're saying, and that President
No,
Obama.
it's not what I'm saying. It's what I'm reading. I'm trying to read the room.
Right. Yeah. And so, yeah, no, you're absolutely right. I think that a lot of what I'm
honestly,
saying.
the backlash, because I remember when he spoke at Morehouse, when he was lecturing the
Mhm.
Morehouse graduates
That's true.
on being responsible fathers. I was like, you don't say that at Morehouse. You don't say that at an HBCU graduation. Not in front of folks, mamas and daddies and aunties and uncles and brothers and sisters, and some of them are the first generation to graduate, or the second or the third. There's so much pride there. He didn't understand that, and that's a problem. Because that's my concern. That and I don't want him to get into a defensive mode. I want him to understand why people are angry, because people are angry. I mean, that's what I'm reading.
Yeah, and I think they're right to be angry, and I think that perhaps it's the teachable moment and an identifiable moment on multiple levels. And one of the things for President Obama, certainly, he didn't attend the HBCU. I don't know, his encounters with the HBCUs, as most of us on this call have had, but certainly there's a pride that's there with regards to how you speak to us and what you're talking about when you're on the campus. I think that similar to what one of the coaches that did the football, Deion Sanders, found out about talking about the HBCU experience. You just don't talk down about what's there, even though we mean the issues that are there. It's a in-family type of conversation, and I think that if President Obama, and I just wondered if he had that conversation in more of a Black family type of setting, rather than opening it up to the world in a setting that he did in Pittsburgh, would the reception be any different? I don't know. But what I do know is that it's presented an opportunity now for him to figure out his if he wants to a response to the backlash that he's experiencing, but it also presents the opportunity for the campaign to seize the opportunity and move forward with it as well, Santita.
To make a shift. Naima Latif said Black men had already perceived Kamala Harris as hostile toward Black men. It's just not what former President Obama said that created anger.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
That's true.
It's
That's
okay.
true.
But before we get to you, Dr. Latrice, Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds.
Yes.
I'm about to give you another name, my sweet. I've made you a senator.
Hey.
A congressman. I'm sorry, babe.
It was good being with your brother, Congressman Jonathan Jackson.
There you go.
Let me tell you.
All Black names.
Yes. Let me tell you this. I find it concerning, and I'll be honest with you. I find it troubling when I'm talking to Black groups and they're saying, where are the GOTV dollars for us to turn out the vote, and we're sitting and they're seeing there's over $1 billion with a B dollars raised by the Harris campaign alone. There's so much money out there from other orgs, and they're scraping and doing fish fries and chicken dinners and car washes to raise money because they're trying to get out the vote. That troubles me, Santita. That pisses me off, and I don't like to see it. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And it's shame on people who are at the table who look like us, that aren't saying, "Hey, wait a minute, where are the Black dollars at?"
Well, wait. They look like us. I'm so tired of that. Do they identify with us?
Well, that's what I'm saying. They may just be sitting there, and
this looks like me.
Yeah. So I'm concerned about that, Santita. When I talk to it, Daryl knows what I'm talking about. That's a real concern when you talk to the Transformative Justice Coalitions, the people who are on the ground. You're talking to Black Voters Matter. You're talking to these orgs. I've had these conversations. I was just at the NACP state conference. Again, there's like, well, we don't have the money to get the vote out. We're like, I'm like, this is crazy. There's so much
Wow.
money
No,
out
no.
there.
But I'm saying historically, that has been the issue. And let me
That's
tell you something. Obama should be advocating for that.
Thank you.
With a record number of people
Exactly.
that he brought into the party, and with a record number of people that he that voted for him,
Yeah.
he should, without shame,
Where's
yeah.
that
be
conversation?
advocate. He should be doing that
I
now.
know.
Reverend
No,
is
I
83
agree.
years old in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
Now you are now. That's what he ought to be doing. Now
Mm,
I'm not gonna hold back on.
absolutely.
Yeah, and
And, you know,
so that's a real problem, Santita. When I'm talking to people who are on the ground that have the ability to help and go out, that are trusted messengers, they don't have the resources,
mhm.
and they're
Dude,
expected to go into their own pocket and beg and borrow and
Reverend had to
steal.
do that. He
Yeah.
has registered more people to vote than anyone in the history of the Republic. He would have to negotiate with the Democratic Party to get him a plane. I had to stop Dr. Julianne Malveaux. She said, well, Reverend was paid to get people. I said, no. Reverend got people paid.
Mm,
He sacrificed his money. When you're running for president and when you're functioning in the capacity in which he's functioned, you cannot earn money yourself. You can't. So my parents' income was cut off. Thank you, Bill Cosby.
mm,
Thank you, Percy Sutton, because they knew my parents had 5 kids in school at the same time.
mm.
Fortunately, we were all, everybody except Jackie and Yusuf, because they were in boarding school. Jesse, Johnny, and I were on full scholarships to college that we had earned. And my mother asked us to earn them because we had to deal with assassination threats. So we didn't think our father would be alive to pay the tuition. And the money that my father earned, he gave to Push.
Wow. Mm,
So the building that's there, those are his. My father earned that money speaking,
mm.
because Dr. King died with less than $100 in his bank account. The
Hmm.
money that he earned, he paid salaries, and my father has followed that example.
Mm.
LaShawn Latrice, we're going to continue this conversation in the next hour because I know we can. Because I can feel everybody real full, even Miss Trouble, Chaparral Wells jumped in. I'm afraid.
I
What are
was
you
listening
hearing?
to all of the commentary, but I've been talking to people for the past week, even yesterday. Um, as a community psychologist, when we think about trauma in our communities, the Black man has historically been beat down over and over and over again. I think this is going to be a compilation of what is already taken place, and that's how it's perceived. When we think about the strategy that was created when they sent President Obama out, they probably didn't think it out all the way through, because here now there's this notion of arrogance that comes out that says, okay, I haven't really targeted talking to any of you all in this short time I've been out here. However, you're going to be an afterthought because right now we need these votes. And so we're going to try to get these people out here to galvanize people. But people are feeling like it's the message and the messenger, because like you said, people are looking at President Obama like, you didn't necessarily fulfill everything that you were supposed to do. So why should I vote for her based on what you're saying? And I had a conversation with a young man last night, and he said, to me, when people come out and they try to push us to vote, and I don't resonate with them, that pushes me further away from the candidate. And I think people are forgetting that when you send a certain message out with a certain messenger, you have to, number one, remember who you're talking to. You're talking to people who have been traumatized their entire life for generations. So Black men don't have the same experience as many other people. So imagine when someone comes out to scold them, what that looks like. And I'm gonna be honest, for me, that pisses me off because I'm always defending the Black man. And I feel like Black men are educated, Black men are intelligent. They know what they're doing, they know what they're saying, but they also know that they've been overlooked, sidestepped, pushed to the side. No real issues concerning them have really been placed at the forefront. And I think that they have a right to feel how they feel, but to put someone out and say they're going to target talking directly to the Black man, I just think the strategy was not smart at all. I think
Well,
they could have to the
hold on, stay
table
right
differently.
there. And Black men don't have to be lawyers. Hello. Elected officials. Hello. They can be truck drivers,
That's right.
janitors, blue collar workers, tradesmen. They're educated too. Now, I want to stand in defense of Black men. because it was those kind of men who got me here. Because my grandfathers were not these men who were professional. They were not part of that class. And we have to watch that, Dr. LaShawn Latrice, because wait a minute. Now, black men, you don't have to go to Harvard to be a man. What did Dr. Carter G. Woodson say? Harvard has ruined more great black minds than bad liquor.
Mm.
My freedom came from Morehouse, from Fisk, from A&T. The black folks in the Ivy League studied what the black folks in the HBCUs did. No shade, but W.E.B. Du Bois is a product of Fisk first. They saw the hunk of coal that was the diamond that then was sent to Harvard. Come on now. I need an amen, because you know what's up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the conversation that we're hearing, everybody. And if we can't have that conversation here, where can we have it? Because those are the marks that he's getting. And I'm like, wait, y'all. We've got to talk about this. That's why I said, hey, we could talk about this for a couple of days, because it's been building, everybody. Dr. Latrice, before we bring on trouble, Chaparral Wells, I don't know what she's going to say, but Dr. Latrice, because you've been analyzing, because to introduce trauma is a very real thing for us.
Mm-hmm.
Because in fact, Naima, thank you for your comments today. Naima Latif said Barack Obama is clearly still in pain from the absence of his own father. That's really what we're hearing from him. That's right. But our family should not be paying for that.
That's right.
Because the fact is, the CDC in a 2014 or 2015 study showed that the most involved father from birth to the age of 5 is the black father. So that's between him and his mama and his daddy. That's black men black men. There are stories. It has been documented that after slavery, black men went looking for years for their wives and children on foot. Black men love their children. I know and I was raised by black men, whether they had children from their loins or from their hearts, who loved black children, who loved their black children and their wives. I'm tired of black men getting slammed. I'm personally offended by that. I am.
Me too.
It's offensive. And I heard Dr. Shahrazad Ali said, you know what? Black women are the only ones who are out here talking about our men. You don't know what Chinese men do. You don't know what Arab men do. You don't know what Latino men do. You don't know any of that. We need to stop talking down our men. And you get him straight at home. That's what you do. That's what I've witnessed. Chaparral. My parents have been together 63 years. They ain't going nowhere. Thank God. Chaparral, what's on your mind, Trouble?
Hey, Santita, good morning to the panel. Listen, when I woke up Saturday morning, my little Twitter fingers went to crazy for Kamala as well as Barack. I mean, I literally lost it. And I lost it because it was the pointed part of his speech when he was like, you didn't over-index. You're not over-indexing the way that you over-index for me. And the first thing that came to my mind was, well, maybe it's because of the way that you ran your administration is the reason why people are not 10 toes down for her. It's a reason. It's a reason why Black people are not super excited, overzealous about this candidacy. And it has to do with him. And he has to take full responsibility for that, because we were so excited to see this Black man in office. And we had put so much hope in his administration, and we came up short. We were an afterthought. So I began to tweet to him as well as to Kamala. I said, we are the only ethnicity that did not receive anything from this administration. Now, I give or take, we had some stimulus money, we had some things, but the main promises that this administration promised Black people were the VP, the Black judge, Supreme Court. But what we wanted, what we desired, was the Civil Rights Act, George Floyd Justice and Policing, reparations. We wanted some economic access to capital. These are things that's going to help move everybody. Because, you know, Kamala being in office ain't doing nothing for me.
Well,
Ketanji Brown Jackson being in office ain't doing nothing for me. I need tangible things that's going to protect me. And then I went on to tell them, I said, hello, you have a sitting president in office right now that can help you win this election just by signing those executive orders. Why not put that pressure on him? You sitting up here coming to black men and black people, put that pressure on Biden and tell him to sign that damn executive order, because that will protect the vote. And so you're sitting up here telling us and chastising us. And my thing was like, okay, the white media has picked up on this, telling this narrative that if she doesn't win, it's going to be because of black men or black women or black people. This is what the media is running with. They're already painting this narrative. I am not carrying your weight. When it's white women who has determined the outcome of the election, put that on them, because that's who's going to determine who will win this election. White women. We have done our part. We have come out and voted. Oh my God, we have saved this party so many times. And for them to come out here and try to lay the blame and set the stage that she loses is going to be because of us, I have a serious problem with that. No, you're not going to tell America that the reason why Kamala Harris is not the next president is because of black men or black women. No, because we're doing our part, and we have done it in spite of you not doing what you're supposed to do for us. So
I mean, and Joe Biden didn't have her back.
And what
DeSantis does not take her call. Y'all, hold on, because we talked about this last week. Representative Reynolds, Attorney Jones, Dr. Latrice, Governor DeSantis, a sitting governor, does not take a call from the Vice President of the United States about a disaster. Then he said, "I've been talking with Biden, who has a troubled racial past." And he said, and I have a great relationship with him. And instead of President Biden saying, you know what, he should have taken a call, he said, he's right, I do have a great relationship with him. I was like, well, what is this? No. And they're gonna put it on you, Ron. You are the head of the Black Legislative Caucus. You got to carry this weight if this doesn't happen with the DNC. I'm like, whoa. Y'all ain't even giving us business. We got businesses down here in Texas. I've been asking you to support black radio, black media, black TV. Y'all ain't doing it. Come on.
Crickets.
It's crickets.
And Santita, the issue is now
And by the way,
they're in desperation mode.
Hold on. We're going to continue this conversation in the next hour. Just so that you know, Daryl and Ron and LaShawn, I just sent you all links to the next hour. But we got State Senator Nina Turner coming on. And then after that, we're going to have Michael Dyson. So you're welcome to come to that too, because everybody's got feeling some kind of way. And Shanina, I sent you something too. Dr. Knighton's over here too, because she's mad. She said that what's disturbing is the blame instead of accountability and the inability to share how this will be different. Important for the many that are turned off and have given up hope. They need to hear from them. Otherwise, advocates and organizers are struggling to get through without any substance. Dr. Knighton, I sent you by email. Girl, jump on in here. And we're going to continue to have this discussion, because you know what? We're within 3 weeks of Representative Reynolds. And this is the discussion that the dam has burst. The quiet part is being said out loud. So you're going to give the final comment, and then we're going to switch over to the next hour, because I got to pick up everybody over there. Go on. Dr. Reynolds. Well, you know, that's the big thing in the Black community, to be a doctor. Right?
No. I was just saying, I felt Miss Wells. I mean, she really captured a lot of the anger and the sentiments that are being espoused by many. And you're right, Santita. President Biden, it was teed up for him to say, well, no, you're not going to disrespect our vice president, my vice president. You know, that he failed to meet the moment, you know, where she has his back, and then, he could have easily had her back, and justifiably so.
Oh,
That
wait a
should
minute,
be-
darling. He didn't fail to meet the moment. He purposely avoided the moment and jammed her. Remember, these folks put him out of the race. And y'all keep acting like what we do. It was Democrat. That was not democratic. They put him out, and he's mad about it. He is an OG in the political game. You act like this man has not been up on the Hill for 50 years, like he does not know how this works.
Mm.
He might not have been the most deft president, but as a politician, he is second to none. He knows the game. Don't hate the player, hate the game, y'all. Texas State Representative Ron Reynolds, what you got to say? Because we're going to switch over to the
Yeah,
next.
no. I think that he did not protect her. He did not honor her, and he allowed her to be disrespected, and he allowed her to be devalued. I mean, we called it out last week. We said men should have been the ones speaking out. That was President Biden's moment to speak out and say, no. Especially the man who has slammed him over and over again, DeSantis, who has showed his animus towards Black people with, anti-Blackness and this woke agenda. So President Biden should have got lit off into his ass, and he didn't. So, yeah, I think that President Obama has, I think Ms. Wells pointed that out. I think a lot of it, as I think about it now, was the messenger. And as Daryl pointed out, the good thing is that we are now having this discussion. We're saying the quiet parts out loud. Now it's out in the open. Everybody talking about it. And I hope that it leads to results and not just rhetoric. I hope it leads to changes in how that we address Black men, how do we address funding Black operatives, Black consultants, Black media. It says, no more on our watch will we allow y'all to give us crumbs and you want us to be happy with it. It's time for us to stop laughing and when it ain't funny and scratching where it don't itch. It's time to end it now. Now we have their attention. Let's not let our foot off the gas. Let's not let them give a few people a few crumbs and then all the rest of us, they tell us to be quiet. We not waiting for, the next leader. All of us are leaders. And so it's incumbent upon us to keep pressing and keep making good trouble. So I'm happy that we're having this discussion. It's long overdue.
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you this. The two most popular figures in the Democratic Party today are Michelle and Barack Obama. Now, they're popular because we made them so. Now, they need to go on and be evidence of all of the hopes and dreams that we put in them. And I say that with all the love that I have in my heart for them, and I have plenty because I've known them a long time. But now I need them to come through for us. We need them to come through for us. They need to be going to the DNC and advocating and saying, hey, Black folks need this, because they didn't do that with the library here. There's not a library. It's going to be a community center. He's not going to have a library. There was supposed to have been a community benefits agreement, yes, Daryl, that he refused to sign. So Black folks will not get a percentage of those benefits. Even if you don't sign a community benefits agreement, that is always informally enforced when you have a big project. He wouldn't do that. Now, enough. Because you all are demanding from a man in a wheelchair who's 83 with Parkinson's, which you will not ask of him. Shame on you. Now, we have lifted Black people up to heights that we've never seen before. You need to make them come through for you. Because when they come through for Black people, they will come through for everybody. Everybody's not Divine Nine. Everybody didn't go to college. Everybody didn't go to an HBCU. We have an obligation to stand for the least of these for everybody. Because we are one. We might be different classes, but we're in the same caste. That's the favor God did for us. And we have an obligation to stand up for our people. Because we all come from slaves, enslaved people. That's right. And those of us who didn't, we need to teach them that lesson too. How about that? Seriously, I mean, no. Got lifted up here, risk all these bullets. I watched my father put on a bulletproof coat and vest. Not for this. Dr. King, killed not for this. When you get into these halls of power, that is what Adam Clayton Powell did, and they put him out. That is what the old curmudgeonly Thurgood Marshall did. And then he said, why are you leaving? He said, because I'm old. And he died right after he got out. He worked until he died. Because he was working for us. That's the obligation. So let's go on over to the second hour. Let's continue this conversation. Shanine, if you want to join us, you can join us by telephone. It's all good. Come on, everybody. Let's continue to have this conversation. Isn't this good? Yum, yum. Santita Jackson Show, AM 950 Radio, Voice of Progressive Minnesota. Back in just a minute.